Madam Chair, yesterday I went for a walk and I ran into Mrs. D. Her and her husband are empty nesters, and she told me that 3 of her boys are coming back home. All 3 are coming back home to live with her. One of the boys is married and has a wife and 3 children, and they're coming to move with their supposedly empty nesters. So there's 9 people in this house. And I bumped into also with Mrs. P, who also has 3 boys. Commonality, they went to college, they went to university, and they're unemployed. One of the boys was able to find a job, not in his particular field, but the other 2 boys are struggling. Now, I say this because, you know, we've had an economy since 2008. This is not a small blip. You know, we're in 2013. The world economy is stagnant, and you need to generate growth in order to get people working. You don't want to be like a Spain where the unemployment rate is 28%. Youth unemployment is very high. I've had councillors here send me resumes of people that have been in their office looking for a job. So when I look at this particular argument, and I've listened very carefully, when we talk about contracts, let's talk about contracts here. We changed the contracts for tugs. That didn't come to an end, and we extended that for 20 years. We're looking at changing the contract with respect to High Park. Proposals that came here that we agreed to change the contract, have we forgotten very quickly? We talk about private individuals. My God, we've got more condos here that people have enriched themselves and gotten greater benefits through Section 37, where there's hundreds of millions of dollars sitting in Section 37, where we've enriched people. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that we had since 1933 an airport that's been there that has had a buffer. And the city has moved its development right into that buffer. And now we complain about the buffer. You want to talk about contracts? There was a contract not long ago that Bob Ray decided to change. He gave a 99-year extension to that particular contract. So I'm having difficulty understanding the logic to say, well, it applies here today, but it doesn't apply here tomorrow. We have an obligation, not just to tax more and give away more. We have an obligation to increase the wealth in this city for all. That's our obligation, because at the end of the day, we are measured by what we do for our young people, and it's a lousy job being done by all levels of government, because we have a whole bunch of them that we told in our generation, go to school and you'll get a good job. Well, you go to school now and you don't get a good job. You become, you article for 3 months or 6 months. You don't get paid for it. It's called internship. And then they rotate people. That's not what government should be doing. That's not what government should be helping. I'm sure people in the audience know people that are out of work. And we're creating a have and a have-not. If you're on the government payroll, you're well looked after between wages and benefits, you're okay. If you're not on the government payroll, you're not okay. And we are creating 2 specific types of classes in this city, in this country. The haves and the have-nots. And we get into this situation, and you say to yourself, well, is that any different than somebody buying a house by a school and saying, I don't want to hear the recess bell anymore because that interrupts my pleasure of enjoyment of my property? Well, don't buy a house by a school. Don't do it. Don't buy a house by an airport. You get those benefits. Yeah, you can, you know, it's shame.
Okay, Councillor Grande.
Because you want to bully people all the time. The bullies come in here into this chamber and they bully the councillors. Look at all the people on the other side. This is how it happens in Scarborough.
Okay.
We're all polite. But you people that don't like it, you come down here and you criticize and criticize and criticize. And you've got grandchildren and you've got nieces and nephews as well too. And you sit there smug because you've got it good and other people don't have it good. I'm sorry. I can't live with that kind of attitude. I can't live with that.
Okay, Councillor De Grande.
That's wrong. That's wrong.
Okay, Councillor De Grande, please.
That's wrong.
Please.
Well, you know, well, look how well behaved they are. But as soon as somebody somebody's contrary to that view,
Okay. Councillor Matlow. Councillor Matlow.
Like I said about one individual, I would go for every individual in this room and elsewhere in the city. Would you please ask every member not to impugn any one group, individual, or community in our city, make their arguments based on the merits of what they believe, and then sit down?
Okay, and I'd also like to ask the public that if I have disruptions, as we did just a couple minutes ago, I'm going to have to ask the security to everybody to vacate the council chambers if that happens again. Councillor De Grande? Just a sec. Apologize for your comments.
Apologize for what?
Comments that you made.
No, I'm not apologizing for anything. I'm stating the facts as been represented, and I stand on principle on people to here to say one thing one day and change their minds the next day and then pretend it doesn't happen. No, Madam Chair. I'm going to speak for those people who can't speak, for those people who don't have jobs, for those people that we're putting on welfare because we don't do enough to help.